Conditions on an aircraft carrier are raising concerns. We ranked the 2028 Republican presidential contenders. And a long-lost Picasso was discovered in the last place you'd expect. That's some of what we'll get to on the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Friday, August 14th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. Democrats are seeking answers after reports of poor conditions on a U.S. aircraft carrier. The USS Abraham Lincoln is in the Arabian Sea. It has been deployed since November, supporting military operations against Iran. It's been at sea more than a month past its scheduled 7-month deployment. And according to the family members of those on board, conditions are deteriorating. Crews are reportedly facing food shortages, broken toilets, moldy showers, and water contamination. And sailors' families told the Military Times that 2 men have tried to jump overboard. Senate Democrats are demanding answers from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. They sent him a list of questions about the situation. But Hegseth denied the reports of poor conditions, speaking to Newsmax yesterday.
Completely misrepresented. Listen, we make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment. Some deployments are longer than others, and I have more respect and gratitude for those sailors than anybody. What they do in those high seas and those austere conditions with less port calls, it's incredible.
In a video posted on X, Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona blamed the situation on President Donald Trump's lack of planning for the war.
That this president got us into this war with Iran with no strategic goal, without a plan, without a timeline, and he has no way out. And because of that, you've got these deployments that are being extended to much beyond what anybody had anticipated or planned for.
He went on to call for an investigation into conditions on the warship. A fight is brewing over who inherits President Trump's MAGA movement. That's number 2. Yesterday, the Post shared its latest ranking of the Democratic contenders for the 2028 presidential nomination. Now, it's the Republicans' turn. This ranking is slightly different because, unlike with the Democrats, there are 2 clear frontrunners, Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Vance is the obvious heir apparent. He is closely aligned with Trump and is taking on high-profile jobs in the administration. However, more visibility has brought him more detractors. Some pro-Israel donors are not keen on Vance, and he faces a hyper-online contingent on the right that has been criticizing his role in the Iran war. Rubio has said he'll support Vance if the vice president runs. But the breadth of Rubio's own portfolio has made him an attractive presidential prospect to some establishment Republicans. Beyond Vance and Rubio, there are a number of potential dark horses. You can find the full ranking in today's newsletter. Find a link to that in the show notes for today's episode. Number 3. The Kennedy Center board voted to inscribe President Trump's name on the building. Yesterday, the Kennedy Center's Board of Trustees, which is chaired by Trump, thrust the D.C. Arts Center back into the political spotlight. It voted to close the performing arts space for 2 years of renovations. And it voted to place an inscription honoring the president below the venue's sign, which would read, "Restored and renovated by President Donald J. Trump." If this news sounds familiar, that's because the board has made similar decisions before. When Trump took control of the Kennedy Center last year, the board pushed through a controversial effort to add his name to its branding and building. Then in June, the center took his name down after a legal challenge. Plans to close the center were also halted by a judge's orders. So, yesterday's decisions are likely to face more legal challenges. Number 4 is a Post exclusive. A top Trump official asked for more resources to fight a small fire near his Idaho ranch. Michael Boren is a tech billionaire and Trump appointee who oversees the U.S. Forest Service. He also owns thousands of acres in Idaho, including the Hell Roaring Ranch in the Sawtooth National Recreation Area. On July 12th, an unattended campfire grew into the Cabin Creek Fire, which spread to a few acres on a ridge in the Sawtooth Forest. While at his ranch, Boren called Forest Service officials multiple times to question why there weren't more aircraft battling the fire. That's according to one Forest Service official with knowledge of the situation. 6 current and former Forest Service officials said the response was greater than what is typical for a fire of that scale, which did not pose a significant threat to life or property. A post-analysis of flight paths found that some aircraft that traveled near to where the Cabin Creek fire was burning appeared to have been diverted from firefighting efforts elsewhere in the state. Number 5. The World War II Memorial on the National Mall in D.C. was vandalized. Yesterday, part of the memorial on the National Mall was covered in soapy bubbles and graffiti. Mountains of white suds appeared in and around the memorial's fountain. Red graffiti spelled out "Clean Hands, Dirty Dollars" beneath the arch, and red and green paint was splattered on some of the granite stonework. By last night, the memorial had been blocked off with yellow police tape and government cars. U.S. Park Police are investigating. The incident comes weeks after the White House blamed vandals for disturbing the nearby reflecting pool after Trump's renovations quickly degraded into algae blooms and peeling liner. Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., ultimately dropped vandalism charges against 4 people. Some things about the brain actually get better with age. That's number 6. Good news for people who are aging, which is to say, all of us. It turns out research shows there are some silver linings to going gray. In one recent study, researchers found that older adults reported they had fewer major regrets within the past year than younger adults did. In fact, older adults were more likely to say they didn't have any recent regrets. Another benefit to aging is having more knowledge. On average, older adults actually perform better on tests requiring knowledge or language. Research finds that this kind of intelligence remains stable or continues to improve through the 7th decade of life. Research also shows the importance of staying positive about the process of aging. Having negative ideas about aging is linked to worse health outcomes, so it can really help your well-being to keep a good attitude. And at number 7, a landlord cleaning out a vacant apartment found a stolen Picasso. In 2018, a black and white print of a bullfighter by the Spanish artist vanished from a Milwaukee art gallery. An investigation turned up no suspects, and insurers settled the claim. 6 years later, Milwaukee landlord Tim Dirtz arrived at an apartment to deal with the mess left behind by a tenant. There, amid the empty pizza boxes, dust, and stench of cat pee, he found the mysterious print. An antiques dealer confirmed that it was a genuine Picasso. William DeLinde owned the gallery the piece was taken from. He told local Milwaukee radio station WTMJ how it felt when he heard it had been found.
To have the phone call, it was like, I can't believe this is happening. This never happens. And holy cow, it's happened. So yes, it was. I think I'm still getting over the shock of his recovery.
According to the Art Loss Register, Picasso is the world's most stolen artist. Apparently, there are more than 1,000 of his works that are missing. So, if you are planning to clear out a dusty old wardrobe this weekend, make sure to keep a close eye out. That's the show for this week. And for me, my last show before maternity leave. As I mentioned on Monday's episode, I'm out of here to have another baby. Thank you for all your lovely messages this week, and for your great tips for easing the transition involving high shelves and toddler mind games. Next week, you will be delighted to hear the voice of my replacement, Bim Adewunmi. The staff writers of The Seven are Jamie Ross, Izan Ekabau, and me. Rennie Svirnovsky is our producer. Special thanks to Charla Freeland. John Taylor is our editor. Copy editing by Kendra Nichols, Rebecca Branford, Victoria Craw, and Brian Molasix. Mixing and sound design is by Jim Briggs and Justin Garish. Our theme music is by Edith Mudge. I'm Hannah Jewell. Thanks for listening, and have a great weekend. I'll meet you back here sometime next year. The rest of the team will meet you back here on Monday.